Can they review?
It hasn't got, we haven't gotten your review yet. We would want to be a motion to advertise.
I thought it meant it was reviewed during March 18th and just sent to us.
Yeah, it will be reviewed on March 18th by now. But we need that, a motion to advertise it so we can enact it in April, because otherwise we can't.
But we don't know what their comments are
No.
until the 18th, right?
That's true.
Presuming that comments come back favorable, we could make a motion to advertise.
Well then, the 2023, what, is it just this section that's to change?
Yes. Oh, here, let me give it to you. I got a copy.
I know, I'm holding it.
Well,
Is the underline, is that the only change?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I want. I'm on 11, look where it's underlined. That's the
Yeah,
change.
we emailed this to you back when Susan Buckham drafted it.
Oh, this is the one about the sewage system because of the house that wasn't being used, right?
No. This is the one on the CAFO. The one we're fighting with, the one we're settling this part with Buckham.
202.3 is to add in parents,
I got it.
section 298,
Right there.
non-conforming farming.
B.
No, that's 202.3. After use number 1, it says C, they add the words C section 298 for non-conforming use.
And then on 298, part B is underlined, that's the part that was added to 298.
That's the part to be added.
Part B is a new part of 298. Part A was the old 298 and has not been modified by this amendment. By the amendment Gil put forward. Okay.
Which,
not the Attorney General, Gil.
well, that's not quite true, because here's her letter to me telling me this is what she wants.
Can you read the part of that letter, please?
What?
Can I hear the part of the letter that she suggested?
Yeah. Thank you for your proposed ordinance amendments to address the 50-acre minimum lot size issue in this case. I've attached my suggestions on how to implement one of the proposals you sent to me. I think the township should leave the current language in section 298, but also put it under subsection A and then add subsection B, and put the language from the first proposal allows agricultural use regardless of parcel size or zoning designation. I would like also to see parentheticals added to both section 501's definition of farm and section 202.3's requirement that a farm have a minimum of 50 acres. It says simply, quote, paren, see section 298 for non-conforming farm use, paren, period, end quote. I think this makes it clear that a property owner can engage in agriculture in Peach Bottom Township even if the property owner has less than 50 acres. This was the Attorney General's only concern with the minimum acreage issue, because state law allows a normal agriculture operation to be 10 acres in size when not based on income. Please advise whether this counter proposal is acceptable to your client. And then she sent this. This was the draft of her counter proposal. I have it in my hand. And that's what we put in.
And she said suggest, right?
What?
In the letter, she said she suggests.
Well, this is what she suggests that we do. She can't, at this point, without a judge's order, require we do anything.
Right. Okay.
But this is how what she suggests that we do to solve the problem. And then she has another letter here that says, I will be filing for motion to leave the amended petition review within the week. There will be allegations regarding the 50-acre minimum lot size, because as it stands right now, the new amendment is not enacted to resolve the issue. However, once the amendment is enacted, I suggest that we can either formally agree in writing that the issue is no longer a part of the case, or we can file a formal stipulation on the docket that the 50-acre issue is no longer part of the case. I offer this suggestion so that you and your client are confident once the amendment is adopted, this issue will be formally out of the case.
Me first. Yep.
Comments?
I have a question. Basically, the appellate court case with Corridors Township, says that we can set minimum farm size.
Yeah.
And basically she's saying we can't. We have a court case saying so. Why are we bowing to her?
Well, number one is I would say there are two things. One is the state law permits, quote, normal agricultural operations on anything not less than, if it's at least 10 acres in size or has 10,000 in gross receipts.
Did corridors or not win the appellate case?
No, wait a minute. Hold it. Two different issues. Okay. Codoris's case was an effort by someone to subdivide a parcel of land into less than 50-acre
For farm.
right farms. They wanted to use, I don't remember what size, 25 acres or something. That was what that case was about. That was not about the fact that our ordinance, the way we have it currently, in the non-agricultural zones, you can't have a CAFO on less than 50 acres. And that's what is probably would never stand up. But she's going to fight the whole 50-acre issue if we want to play that game. And while I'm confident that we could win Codoris again, and in fact the matter is that's what brought this to a head, I sent her a draft of my motion for partial summary judgment on the 50-acre issue because I wanted to be reaffirmed on the 50-acre issue regarding subdivisions so that I did not have to relitigate it. Of course, someone could always relitigate a case. Now, I think we would win. I mean, in that case, I had 3 expert witnesses in a lot of time, and it cost a lot of money. And, I see no reason for the township to be spending this money when this matter can be resolved in a way that we know we have to ultimately resolve it. Because we can't prevent, under the law, someone in the commercial zone who has 20 acres of land from putting a CAFO there. And our ordinance, as stated, would do that.
What about the residential zone?
Well, it doesn't matter, any zone. But your residential zone, I don't know of any potential place in the residential zone, less than 50 acres of land, where one has a reasonable potential to go. There are some commercial pieces that they might go in.
But that's setting a precedent, and it's unconstitutional.
What's unconstitutional?
That you can put that.
Out of order.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But,
Sorry. Okay. They had the Act 13. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, with the natural gas drilling. That was
Really has nothing to do with.
okay. Well, wait. Just hear me, and then argue back. Okay. That was based on the Acre Act. That is how that came to be.
No, it's not based on the Acre Act.
I choose to differ with that because I have articles and I was in rallies at the Capitol. It was designed after, but then they
that act makes no mention whatsoever of acres.
Okay, I'll send you the articles again because you don't want to listen. I will send the articles to you to confirm it. Okay. Anyway, regardless, that's unreal. The Commonwealth argued during the hearings that the General Assembly had legal authority to create these statewide standards, but the court has rejected those claims. Quote, if the Commonwealth proffered reasons are sufficient, and this is about making, I'm sorry, I should say this, natural gas as a right in all zones.
That's what they attempted to do, and I know, and that state law was challenged.
Right.
And the court ruled against the state law.
Right.
Now, okay, do we seriously want to go in and litigate the validity of a state law?
Can I finish what I was saying?
Well, I mean, that's what you'd be asking us to do.
In quotes, here's the decision. In quotes, if the Commonwealth proffered reasons are sufficient, then the legislature could make similar findings requiring coal portals and tipples, washing plants, limestone and coal strip mines, steel mills, industrial chicken farms, rendering plants and firework plants in residential zones for a variety of police power reasons, advancing those interests in their development. It would allow the proverbial pig in the parlor instead of the barnyard. The court declared the zoning requirements unconstitutional, quotes, in quotes, null and void, and bars Pennsylvania from enforcing them. It also throws out a section giving DEP the right to waive required setbacks between natural gas wells and water sources. The point being, it is unconstitutional. Now, let me make my argument. In the letter, the Attorney General suggests, as of Acre Act, the Attorney General can give an opinion, and all it is an opinion. It is not, from there, it goes to a court, and the judge has the final say. Here is the final say. I will send you the documentation. I know what I'm talking about again.
Okay, that is the final say on the Natural Gas Act.
Oh, my God.
Right now, I mean, what those municipalities did was they challenged the legality of the Natural Gas Act. If we would wish to file a legal action challenging the legality of Section 952 of the Right to Farm Act, 3 PS 952, and the identification, I think it's 951, which talks about unauthorized local ordinances, you know, we can do that, and you can challenge that, and you might be successful, but you know, that's an expensive way to go, and I don't think, as far as the reality is, there's anything in the residential zone that is really likely to have any such use. Where in the residential zone, other than farms such as Ashes and Dick Smith's, is there any reasonable potential for somebody putting in one of these uses?
Let me ask another question. Okay. Do you agree that CAFOs should be put in residential zones, Gil?
No, I personally, let me tell you, I personally don't think a CAFO should be on less than 50 acres of land.
Right. But I know you don't believe...
You need 50 acres of land for a CAFO. But unfortunately, I didn't write state law.
Right. But it would be setting a precedent, and the Attorney General can only give a suggestion. Now, you all are the one that draft the ordinances. If you draft an ordinance like that, it is unconstitutional, null and void by a judge's decision. And I can almost guarantee it will be challenged, and the township will get sued because it's illegal. They can make a suggestion. You have the ultimate power. There are zoning laws for a reason. This is the opinion of the Commonwealth Court on making this a right in every zone. But on making, yes.
On gas well.
Yes.
No.
On, go ahead, Sam, go ahead. They don't
If I may.
All right.
The decision at the appellate court, or at the court, now I can't forget which one it was, Commonwealth Court.
Because Commonwealth Court, it's on appeals.
The decision was, the litigation was brought before them because of preemption removing zoning.
Right.
That's exactly what the wording says.
Yep.
It doesn't say anything about fracking, gas, or anything else. It says preemption, state preemption, removing the ability to have zoning.
Right.
Okay? The court found that preemption does in fact destroy zoning, and therefore found against the state in being able to have preemption.
Right, but you got a little different angle here though, because the MPC itself in 603 states, and let me read it, zoning ordinances shall encourage the continuity, development, and viability of agricultural operations. Zoning ordinances may not restrict agricultural operations or changes to or expansions of agricultural operations in geographic areas where agriculture has traditionally been present. And, you know, all of our zone that's not developed, agriculture has been traditionally present, and some form of agriculture is present there now.
And
not in residential.
Three attorneys who been questioned on this. Gil's the only one that holds that position.
Yep.
Okay.
Rick,
Laura.
Laura.
Thank you. Gil, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is it less expensive then for our township to have to put in water supplies into the entire trails area than it is to challenge something that may protect
I mean,
the water
when
supply
they
part.
come,
I mean, no.
that's a whole different thing, but there is, where in the trails is there, it's going to take, it would take at least
He's
5
setting a
acres of
precedent.
land
Please make
to
that
cite a
point.
CAFO.
He's setting a
The
precedent.
There's
trails
no
are
5 acre
surrounded,
pieces of
but
land
they're
up there.
One
surrounded.
Summer's
conversation,
Farm.
guys, please.
But the trails are surrounded by agricultural
And it's
operations.
zoned agriculture.
Okay, but the trails are not.
I know.
Well, that's,
But they are surrounded by.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, so I'm just asking Gil, what is less expensive?
Well, I
Standing
mean,
by their ordinances
Well, all
or
right,
putting
say, if somebody put 100,000 pigs on the Summers Farm, which could happen, I assume they would drain excess water, and there might be a problem with excess water usage. But this isn't going to have anything to do with that because it's zoned agriculture. There is no other property within the trails that is zoned residential that has any potential whatsoever for this kind of use. Now, I personally do not think it would be desirable to have one of those things on the Summers Farm or on anywhere close to the trails. But the issue is, you're talking about, what's going to be litigated. I mean, the reality is, in the R2 zone, there is no land on which one of these things can conceivably happen. There is in the commercial zone.
all right. What,
You're setting a precedent, though. In other words, you're saying, we're not going to have that problem here. So let's make it a right in our residential zone. But don't you see how that affects, and I know you're a solicitor for many other townships. Okay, let me ask a question. Why don't you ask the Attorney General how many CAFOs are in residential zones in our state right now?
Well, she would tell me she doesn't know, number one, and she'd tell me, number two, it's none of my business.
Well, I would tell her.
all right. We went back and forth on this.
It's a suggestion.
And,
It's not.
Can I offer an expediency here?
all right.
The only issue the Planning Commission had with this set of changes was that the Planning Commission had addressed whether or not a farm was a acceptable use in the residential and commercial zone way back over 2 years ago, I think. And at that time, it was determined we were not going to list a farm of any type in those two zones as a use by right, and understanding that anybody there could continue farming or expand their farm. And if they could, to even include a CAFO. But it was not going to be listed as a use. Now, when Gil made this change B in accordance with the Attorney General's recommendation under coercion, the last sentence on B says that normal agriculture operations as defined shall be permitted on every parcel in all zones. And guess what? That's a CAFO.
Yeah.
Okay? And the Plan Commission voted that the supervisors, recommended to the supervisors not to approve that Section B as written.
All right. Now, are you, I mean, we're discussing this and everything, and it hadn't even been sent to the York County
Yeah,
Planning
that's been
Commission.
sent to County Planning Commission.
Or, I mean, it's sent to it, and we haven't had a review.
Yeah, they haven't, it hasn't been advertised, and my thought would be, I mean, it's not going to cost that much to advertise it. If the County Planning Commission really comes up and says we shouldn't do it, and gives good reasons, we can, give some thought to that. You don't have to pass it because you advertise it. You got a limited investment in advertising
But
it.
if we advertise it, we can only strike from.
Yeah, you can't add to it. But, I mean, in other words, you're not losing any time. In other words, let's put it this way. Suppose at the April meeting you decide you don't want to pass it, you want to do something else. You would have to come up with that at that point in time and send it to the county unless there's something else that you want to do right now in lieu of this. And, but it's basically we do this or we don't. and we settle this issue or we don't. It is about where we are. I mean, this is not a complex ordinance. It has basically deals with one issue. And so you either do it or you don't. And
well, I'm wanting to change it and satisfy the Attorney General and save our lawsuits. That's my opinion. What are yours?
I don't know of any place that they put a CAFO in the trails itself, in the trails. Because the Summers Farm is already agricultural. It's an agricultural zone in the middle of a residential zone. And they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But would this allow anybody to do anything they want on any parcel?
It says a parcel of any size.
Any size
It
parcel.
says of any size.
Anywhere,
the reality is,
residential or
for a
commercial.
CAFO, it takes 5 acres.
Until she writes a letter again and threatens you. It says of any size.
I know, that's
Any
what it says, but
size.
that's what the state, because
Careful.
it doesn't say, now agriculture, there can be other agriculture activities on less than 5 acres. But a CAFO, to meet their setback requirements, to get your stormwater management, and access, you're going to need 5 acres of ground. At least that's what Michelle told me.
So isn't it
Wait.
conceivable if somebody could buy 5 continuous 1-acre lots somewhere in the trails and put a CAFO on it,
Wait a
correct?
minute.
I got a double
Why
one.
would you
I'll sell it. Let's
want
see.
to spend 5 residential lots to put a CAFO?
Make a point?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're more valuable as residential lots.
Not necessarily. Some of those lots are unbuildable.
Well, the ones that are unbuildable are also not going to be available for a CAFO because they're too steep. Or have limited access. You've got to have trucks getting into a CAFO. They got to bring feed. They got to haul pigs in and out. You're not going to put CAFO down there next to Muddy Creek.
Real?
I have one right now in Cleveland Township in an R2 zone. They are trying to put in less than a CAFO. Remember, this is CAO, less than 70,000 birds across the street from a heart transplant patient. Now they have an ordinance protecting them. You are opening yourself up
Where is Cleveland Township?
in Columbia County, 2.5 hours north. Okay? You're opening up a very dangerous game because it says any parcel, any size. I have a double lot. Somebody could put in the trails. If I sell that, somebody can come in and put 70,000 birds on South Oak Heights in the middle of that. Be careful. Be careful.
Right. What do you say, Janet?
I would like to see what York County Planning Commission sends back to us. But what does that do with our timing?
That puts us off to May. Because I can't advertise. Their meeting changed now. It used to be the first Tuesday. Now it's the third Monday.
Another question, these 3 sections that are listed here, are we doing them one at a time or are we doing them together?
You know, because it'll make sense without it.
All right.
Well, wait a minute,
What?
just the 2 sections.
The 2 sections
Yeah,
are
the-
together.
the,
The third one is tree removal.
That was already, you all made the motion to send it up, didn't you?
Yeah.
I make a motion to send sections 202.3 and 298 to the York County Planning Commission for review.
Oh, that's already been
That's
done.
already been done.
Now it's advertising.
But you never made
motion
the
is not
motion
made.
to do
Oh.
it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
All right, motion made to have York County review. Do I hear a second?
Yeah.
Second. All those in favor of the motion, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, now it's been reviewed.
Now the next is if we want to
Advertise.
advertise it or not.
And if
We only have to advertise in the Star, correct?
Yeah.
But we gotta do it 2 weeks
Right.
prior.
Otherwise, we lose that window and have to go to the
Yeah.
record, which is very expensive. Well, we still vote on it after the recommendations come back from the county, so I would say go ahead. We'll have the recommendations from the county, we can always turn it down.
If they find reason not to.
Right. I mean, just because we advertise it is
Yeah.
not a guarantee we're gonna pass it.
All right. You wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion, go ahead and advertise it.
Add,
202.3 and 298.
no matter what the county says, you can go ahead and do it, and then.
No,
Yeah.
just go ahead and advertise it, and then, because we're not passing it, we're just advertising it. And
And
that's,
there's 501s included in that, the definition. You should do it all at one time. You wanna do it.
Most of that whole ordinance is,
Yeah.
it's actually 501s.
501 just adds the non-conforming ones. I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, adds non-conforming.
All right. You wanna add that section to it too, John?
yeah.
And is that just 501 or 601 also?
No,
601.
there's no 601.
We got
Well,
more.
no, wait a minute, the five, that's not, that 501 and 601 is subdivision land development.
There is a 501 on the see, here's the ordinance, essentially.
Well, we got it down here.
I don't know what she has it on the minutes, but, well, no, but that's here, but well, what happened is she should have had it up here too. She did. It wasn't on the minutes. Yeah, wait a minute, here's the ordinance. Right here, I don't know what she has typed. It goes here,
And it said it's
and over
already
here.
been sent out, they're going to advertise. So the first motion is to send it to your county.
Well, the 501 was a part of it, it was all stapled together and was given to
Yeah,
the planning commission.
501 was addressed, but it was skipped over past that.
Yeah, that was the ordinance, it was sent to the planning commission had.
York County.
York County and our local planning commission.
Definition of farm.
Because it all comes from what Susan sent, which was this. Well, Mrs. Buckman, I couldn't tell you, Mrs. Buckman.
The 501 just tells where this goes.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just direction.
That's what she says she wants in 501 too. This is a letter from. All right.
Yeah, and that's what it says right here. 501, amended to add the definition of farm. See section 298.
John has it right from there.
There it is. So 501 just tells where this,
What section?
where it is.
That's why we didn't spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah, it's just directions as to where to find it.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is 298B is the key to the whole thing. And everything else is,
501 is just where to find that definition and all that.
You can't have 10
All right.
acres. And then what?
Now, you made a
I'll
motion.
still make a motion that we go ahead and advertise it because until we see the planning commission, your county, we can't do anything anyhow. So let's go ahead and advertise the thing. We're just talking to Star. And then we can discuss after we see the
And
planning
that's
commission.
202.3 and 298 and 501.
And 501.
All right. You want a second? You want me to?
I want you to.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.